2 seasons in a row, Crew League, you guys are champions. You know, I heard y'all call out some people last year.
Yeah, he was scared. Quavo.
Who scared?
Quavo, bring your out of here again. I said it twice.
Second time.
Second time.
Y'all won't believe just who happens to be the subject of the latest beef in hip-hop history. It's none other than Chris Brown. But hey, it's no big news. If there's one thing Chris is known for, it's getting into fights with almost everyone in the music industry. But this time, it's not about Chris. It's about who he decided to get into a scuffle with. And here's the deal breaker, it's Quavo. Now, you'll probably wonder why the heck Chris got into an altercation with Quavo in the first place. Chris and Quavo? Their personalities are just way too different. Chris is the drunk on liquor type with bad temper issues, also known for his playboy ways, while Quavo is the classic guy who wants nothing more than to sip champagne and sing songs about Gucci and the favorite designer brands. But whatever Chris did, it was enough for Quavo to open up their old battle wounds and diss Breezy on social media. But surprisingly, this beef goes way back than we all thought it did. A few weeks ago, the long simmering tension between Chris and Quavo hit an all-time high after the two artists wasted no time in firing shots at each other through their music. We thought the beef between them had died long ago, but following Chris's arrest just a few days back, Quavo proceeded to take cheap digs at him, making fun of him for being sued for $50 million and facing the possibility of jail time. Talk about the classic twist. You all know how Chris Brown is quite the talker and he'll never watch someone paint him in such a negative light in front of all his fans, so he clapped back at Quavo, making fun of his failing career. These two guys are really sassy, and it looks like we're about to watch another battle of wordplay. But will Chris Brown's anger issues put him behind bars? Let's face it, Chris Brown has everything going for him in terms of looks, talent, and music, but the one thing he just can't seem to do is to stay out of trouble. While we thought that growing up and maturing would change him, after all, we saw what happened with JB, but it looked like the reverse is the case with Breezy. He still goes around picking fights with random people for nothing, even though he has children of his own. During his current 11/11 tour, an incident occurred in one of his shows in Fort Worth, Texas. While the concert was lit in the usual Breezy way, things took a turn for the worse right after. Rumor has it that 40 women were allowed backstage for a post-concert hangout, and 4 men, including Charles Bush, DeMarcus Powell, Joseph Lewis, and Larry Park, were granted access. It's no secret that when male performers go on tour, it's all about the booze, the women, and the parties. And given Breezy's past record with women, it wasn't totally surprising that he decided to do the same. While waiting for Chris to arrive, the 4 men claimed to be relaxing in the VIP section. But when he didn't show up for over 30 minutes after they had decided to hang out, they decided to leave. As they were leaving, they encountered Chris, and Charles Bush was fooling around with him in the usual way most grown men do. It was all fun and games until someone in Chris's entourage brought up an old grudge he had with Charles and said, "Man, you don't remember? You two were beefing." Chris replied, "Oh yeah, we were. What's up, Ninja?" And he then ordered his guys to jump Charles while saying, "I don't forget ish." I finally see why Chris constantly get into problems. It seems like his whole crew is just as aggressive as he is. The individuals he keeps around with him are just as bad, if not worse than he is. He definitely don't need his entourage to bring up a long forgotten rivalry or get him into a mess he got into. Charles also said that 7 to 10 of Chris's friends were around him and had punched and kicked him. But that's not all. He also asserts that Hood Boss, one of Breezy's followers, hurled a chair at his head. Not too long afterwards, Chris had dispatched his friend Yella Beezy and others to mess up Parker before catching up to him at a dead-end staircase. Parker claims that Chris urged all of his friends to join him in assaulting him for over 10 minutes with punches and kicks to the head. The other 2 men also became entangled in the mayhem, eventually landing themselves in the emergency room. At this moment, the 4 of them have joined forces to sue Chris Brown, seeking $50 million in damages as well as a restraining order. The real question though is, why are they suing Chris after he has been arrested by the police? And why are they asking for such an excessively high amount of money in punitive damages? In an official statement, their lawyer's explanation for this was, "We filed suit last night alleging that on Saturday night in Fort Worth, entertainer Chris Brown along with his entourage attacked and brutally beat several men who had just attended his concert. Multiple police reports have been made. At least one of the men beaten remains hospitalized. Chris Brown reportedly has a long history of violence and has been arrested or accused of assault on at least 10 occasions. Enough is enough." The lawsuit, the Busby law firm, has filed seeks damages on behalf of the four men brutalized with the hope of attaining justice for these victims and putting an end once and for all to the intolerable and thuggish behavior set forth in the lawsuit. The lawyer raised a valid point, and I'm not gonna deny it. Chris Brown has a tendency to act violently, which has harmed his career in more ways than one. The most frustrating thing about all these is that Chris never owns up to his mistakes. Instead, he keeps claiming that people hate him for assaulting Rihanna in 2009, even though it was a mistake he made as a kid. For instance, in a tirade he had last year, he attacked fans and trolls alike for being mean to him while claiming, "If y'all still hate me for a mistake I made as a 17-year-old, please kiss my whole entire ass. I'm fucking 33. I'm so tired of y'all running with this narrative. You weird people are the same ones that tune in every week to see Blueface and Christian beat the fuck out of each other in front of the world, but that's okay, it's entertainment." I'll just stop at this because a whole world of obscenities followed afterwards. But hold on for a second, why are people holding the Rihanna thing against him if all he did was act like a dumb 17-year-old? Let's firstly acknowledge the fact that he was not 17, but was actually just a few weeks away from turning 20. That's old enough to know that assaulting someone is wrong and can get you jail time. But to make matters worse, Rihanna wasn't the only woman he was violent with. I'm sure you remember when he almost hit Tiana Taylor last year. She was one of the few people who stood up for him when he hurt Rihanna, which cost her a big brand deal. Now this was crazy because he and Tiana used to be very close. Could you imagine siding with someone only for them to turn around and assault you? But first, let's talk about how things got bad and what made Quavo and Chris Brown's fallout. Karrueche, Chris Brown's ex, went to court in 2017 to ask for protection from Chris, who wouldn't take no for an answer, even though they weren't together anymore. That's where she dropped the bombshell that showed Chris hadn't changed at all since what happened in 2009. Before she ever got the courage to take him to court, she revealed that he had punched her in the stomach and pushed her down a flight of stairs. She didn't tell anyone about it at the time because she was still on probation from the Rihanna incident and would have gotten into a lot of trouble with the law. Chris had also told Karrueche that he would kill her if he couldn't have her, and no one else could either. It's a good thing she left when she did because that's a whole new level of toxic. It was also Karrueche who caused the fight between Quavo and Chris, because Quavo, who used to be cool with Chris, got into a relationship with her, and you all know how much of a jealous partner Chris is. It's no wonder why he instantly called a spade and took on his word-fighting shoes to play Knight of the Maiden in Distress with Quavo. Chris flared up in an instant, and for an instant people thought this was the end of their relationship until they were caught sitting next to each other at a Fashion Week show in January this year. People instantly assumed that the bad blood between them had ended, but next thing we knew, Chris got angry and denied the rumors, saying, "Can't pick who you sit by. F all that growth shit. I'm not F to fumble my bag for little ninjas." He also took shots at Quavo in his song Freaky, saying, "Effing my old bitch ain't gonna make us equal. Sipping that 1942 cause I don't do no Quavo. Freaky bitch, she like Casamigos, not the Migos." Quavo then clapped back by bringing up Chris's old DV cases and how Chris used to put his hands on Karrueche, saying, "You did the bitch wrong, and now the bitch gone. She posted with a thug called the bitch phone. She won't come home, don't beat her up. It must be the drugs, need to cross out your plug." Quavo also said, "Tell me, lil bro, what's the issue? It's over a thought? You said it's bigger than that, but no, it is not. It's cause I be digging in that, it got him hot, I'm giving respect, but I know you're not. Yo bitch on my neck, yo bitch at the spot." One thing we all know about Chris is that he absolutely hates when people bring up his past incidents of domestic violence, especially with his partners. He insists he's a changed man who has blown up on social media whenever someone mentions that dark chapter of his life. So when Quavo brought it up in a song, we all knew Chris was going to explode, but nobody expected him to clap back as hard as he did. The wildest part, Chris dropped a diss track aimed at Quavo called Weakest Link, and he's not even a rapper. He came with all the smoke, starting the song with a voicemail from Quavo saying he didn't want any beef with Chris. Now, we can settle this like you got some class, or we can get into some gangster shit. It should have been clear from the start that things were going to get rough, and Chris sure did drag Quavo for filth. He gave Quavo the dick and said he would pull up on him. It was at this moment that he confirmed that the fight was over, Karushi. But then he dropped the crazy bomb that he slept with Su3d while she was still with Quavo. Chris hit the right spot because he was aware that Quavo was still upset about breaking up with Su3d. According to rumors, Quavo's fight with Offset and Takeoff happened because Offset had an affair with Su3d. Could you imagine how mad Quavo would be if she cheated on him while they were still together? He was angry enough to break up the group after he and Su3d broke up. Chris was aware of this, which is why he dropped that bomb. But that wasn't all. Chris took more jabs at the late Takeoff as well. Seriously though, what is Chris's problem? Haven't they ever taught him to let the dead rest in peace? Quavo was more annoyed about the fact that he brought up the death of his brother rather than what happened with Su3d. Besides bringing it up, he also revealed that everyone wished Quavo had died instead of Takeoff. Whew, girl, that is too much. Like, that was really messy, but Chris didn't hold back. If you're a rapper, getting smashed by an R&B singer has to be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you. It's even worse when the singer comes with hard bars like Chris did. As though that wasn't embarrassing enough, Chris also dropped some merch to accompany the diss track and wrote, "Have you ever been considered the weakest link in your crew?" Even I felt for Quavo at that moment. Quavo finally got his chance to respond after Chris was arrested. He supposedly made fun of Chris for being a prison warden and said that Chris should go to jail for his crimes. The insider revealed that Quavo is enjoying seeing Chris fall and fans are on his side, while showing receipts for how Chris has been left on the loose for way too long while he assaulted numerous people including his mom, co-workers, strangers, and every other woman in his life. The only people I feel sympathy for, thanks to recent events, is none other than his young, innocent daughter. Chris needs to clean up his act real quick and do his daughter right, cause what the heck is this? Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more engaging content like this.